he stays in charge, it's going to be over his dead body that Shedeur is going to play a snap this year. As I've always said about Dylan Gabriel, I think he's a little better than Tua. Built stocky like Tua, nice arm, accurate, but he ain't Shedeur. Shedeur is very special to me. If Shedeur were starting right now for the Cleveland Browns, I think they'd be the talk of the league because they did just beat the Packers, because they have the #1 defense in the National Football League. If you gave Shedeur Judkins in that defense, I guarantee you he...
Run, scramble, do something. Maybe he'd even trip his way into a first down. But Flacco? The man stood there like a carnival target, waiting to get knocked over. No movement, no awareness. Just free points for Detroit. The Lions didn't even have to break a sweat. They were cashing in on free prizes all night while Cleveland's offense looked like it was playing in slow motion. Picture that locker room afterward. Helmets off, heads down, the energy sucked out of the air. Everyone knowing they just watched their quarterback deliver a masterclass in futility. And right beside them, Shedeur Sanders, helmet polished, gloves on, cleats gleaming, looking like he's starring in a Gatorade commercial instead of a football game. You can't tell me those players weren't glancing at Stefanski like, "Coach, you seeing this?" By the time the final whistle blew, the game wasn't even about the score anymore. Detroit didn't just beat Cleveland, they bulldozed them into next week. The real story was Stefanski's stubborn, almost artistic commitment to turning Joe Flacco into the poster child for offensive futility. And poor Shedeur, he's sitting on the bench like an unopened Christmas gift, shiny, promising, collecting dust under the tree while everyone else unwraps disappointment. If stubbornness had a Hall of Fame, Stefanski's bust would be front and center. Because this wasn't just a bad call, it was football malpractice. Watching Flacco try to escape Detroit's pass rush was like watching a tortoise attempt to cross a freeway. You wanted to look away, but the chaos was too mesmerizing.
Hope everybody enjoyed the win last week as much as possible because that victory was very short-lived. The Browns got absolutely trounced 34-10 today by the Detroit Lions in a game where Cleveland came straight down the field on the opening drive, started off 7-0, and it was all downhill and absolutely nothing from the offense. After that, Joe Flacco continued his campaign to be the absolute worst quarterback in the NFL. I mean, watching him play quarterback right now hurts my eyeball.
Every drop back was a horror movie rerun, incomplete pass, interception, or some tragic remix of both. Yet there was Stefanski on the sideline, nodding like he had Tom Brady under center instead of a quarterback running on expired Wi-Fi. Meanwhile, Shedeur was right there, taped up, helmet in hand, ready for war. And his biggest workout? Pacing the sidelines. His Fitbit probably logged more steps from frustration than he would have gotten from an actual drive. And through it all, Emmanuel Acho was the only adult in the room. The only one willing to say what everyone else was too scared to admit. Shedeur might still be raw, but there's no possible way he could be worse than whatever Flacco just put on display. That's not a debate anymore. That's a cry for help. Maybe Stefanski thought Flacco was suddenly going to rediscover his 2012 Super Bowl magic. Maybe he assumed Detroit's defense would clock out early, grab a snack, and call it a night. Or maybe, just maybe, he looked at Shedeur Sanders and thought, that can't be real. That must be a hologram. Whatever the reasoning, it wasn't football logic. It was fantasy football, minus the fantasy points. Even the Lions looked confused. They blitzed, they pressured, they devoured Flacco like it was team lunch. But between plays, you could see the defensive line glancing at Cleveland's sideline like, this is your plan? Every incomplete pass came with a collective groan. Every interception felt like déjà vu. And every time Stefanski sent Flacco back out there, you could hear the energy physically leaving the stadium, like air escaping a balloon. This wasn't a football game anymore. It was purgatory on turf.
Not a motivator. He's not a play caller. His special teams aren't good. He does not make adjustments well after the first drive. He's not an X's and O's guru. His quarterbacks don't ball out. He's the most highly penalized team that they got. What does he do well? Is it because you like him and you think he's in a serious catalog with his beard? What does he do well? I'm just trying to figure it out. You can put it in there for me, and I will.
And here's where it gets cruel. Stefanski knows what Shedeur can do. He's seen the flashes, the mobility, the quick trigger, the fearless instinct to create something when everything collapses. He's seen it all. Yet he refuses to roll the dice, acting like sticking with Flacco is somehow the safe option. That so-called safe plan? It was sabotage in disguise, like hiding behind a locked door while the house burns and calling it security. That's why Acho's commentary hit so hard, because he wasn't suggesting Shedeur deserved a shot in theory. He was saying it while Flacco was actively imploding on live television. It was like standing next to a burning house and calmly saying, "Hey, maybe call the fire department." Except in this version, Stefanski just shrugged, pulled out a marshmallow, and started roasting it over the flames. The man turned disaster into a camping trip while Cleveland watched their offense go up in smoke. When you zoom out, this whole saga doesn't even feel like football anymore. It's a reality show with shoulder pads. Episode 1. Shedeur gets violated by Detroit. Episode 2. Stefanski benches him for Flacco. Episode 3. Flacco implodes against those same Lions. Episode 4. Acho publicly begs for Shedeur to play, and Stefanski still refuses. Episode 5. Stefanski tries to re-sign a retired quarterback just to avoid giving Shedeur a snap. You can't make this stuff up. And here's the kicker. That refusal isn't just a coaching decision, it's a statement. A loud, blaring message that screams, "I'd rather sink with Joe Flacco than rise with Shedeur Sanders." That's not leadership. That's ego management. Stefanski isn't protecting the team. He's protecting his pride. The story has flipped. It's no longer, Shedeur needs to earn his shot. Now it's, Stefanski is terrified of what happens if Shedeur actually gets it. Because once the kid plays well, that ego-driven narrative collapses. Meanwhile, Acho has turned into Shedeur's unofficial PR agent, pleading on TV like a hype man for common sense. He knows Shedeur isn't perfect. He knows Detroit made him look like a rookie, lost in rush hour traffic without a helmet. But that's the process. Every great player takes a few hits before they take over the league.
My love for Shedeur Sanders is bigger than Shedeur, is deeper than Shedeur. It's about us, family. Let's just be real. You guys see that? It's about us, man. Shedeur, you need to say something. No more cute words. No more like 4 days ago when you had that viral press conference where you referenced the quarterback play in the NFL sucks and you probably could play for those teams as well. And bro, you sugarcoating things too much. You are your daddy's son, and that's the issue. We love Coach Prime. Coach Prime is so gifted, they couldn't ignore Coach Prime the way they ignored you. Meaning that Deion Sanders' very first game in the NFL, his very first touch on the football, he took...
You can't grow if you never touch the field. And yet, week after week, there's Shedeur, exiled on the bench. Flacco playing like the NFL's unofficial charity program. Stefanski doubling down on decisions that would get most coaches fired before halftime. It's tragic, it's frustrating, and somehow it's still hilarious. Because you couldn't write a better comedy if you tried. A young quarterback begging for snaps, an aging vet begging for mercy, and a head coach begging for anyone to still believe he knows what he's doing. At this point, the whole thing doesn't even feel like football anymore. It's absurdist theater. Flacco could throw 3 interceptions, trip over his shoelaces, and fumble the Gatorade cooler, and Stefanski would still hand him the ball like nothing happened. It's loyalty at its dumbest. The kind that makes no sense, but keeps happening, week after week. Like watching someone in 2025 refuse to upgrade from a Nokia flip phone because it still makes calls. Sure, technically it works, but come on, you look ridiculous using it. That's Stefanski with Flacco, stubbornly outdated, pretending it's strategy. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders has become the NFL's most overqualified spectator. You can practically see the frustration boiling behind that face mask. A young quarterback watching his potential rust away while being forced to cheer for mediocrity. Every player dreams of proving people wrong, but Shedeur can't even get the chance to prove people right. Everyone else is screaming, "Turn the wheel!" But Stefanski just stands there, calm as ever, nodding like the sinking ship is all part of his master plan. The Browns keep running the same tragic comedy routine. Fans groan, Acho pleads, Shedeur waits, Flacco flails, and Stefanski stands there smiling like he's directing a masterpiece instead of a meltdown. It's tragic. It's absurd. It's hilarious. A full-blown satire broadcast to millions who can't decide whether to laugh or cry. So until someone in Cleveland finally changes the script, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this madness, because we're not done yet. And maybe, just maybe next time, Shedeur Sanders finally gets his moment to shine.